The Mongol horde stands at the gates of Europe. Nothing has stopped them. Nothing. They have shattered China, burned Baghdad, swallowed Russia whole. 60,000 horsemen ride west. Their generals have never lost a battle, not once. Polish knights are already ash. Hungarian armies already broken. Vienna is next. And then, silence. The horde turns around. Europe never explains why. But history knows. It wasn't luck. It wasn't God. It was something far more brutal. This is the story of how Europe, bleeding, fractured, desperate, stopped the unstoppable. To understand the defeat, you must first feel the terror of what was coming. The Mongol army is not just soldiers. It is a system, a machine built for one purpose: speed, deception, total annihilation. They invented psychological warfare before the word existed. Batu Khan commands the Western campaign. His general is Subutai, perhaps the greatest military mind in history. Subutai has fought in more campaigns than most men have lived years. He doesn't attack where you are strong. He attacks where you don't know you're weak. Europe in 1241 is fractured. Kings feud with popes. Dukes fight dukes. There is no unified army, no shared strategy, no one who can see the whole board. When warnings arrive from the east, most rulers don't believe them. Some don't even read them. The Mongols split into two prongs. One drives north, into Poland. At Legnica, April 9th, 1241, a Polish-German force meets them in open battle. It lasts hours. By the end, the Mongols carry 9 sacks of ears cut from the dead. 2 days later, 2 days, Subutai crushes the Hungarian army at the Battle of Mohi. King Bela IV barely escapes. His army, 100,000 strong, is effectively destroyed. The Mongols reach the Adriatic Sea. They can smell the rest of Europe from here. Nothing stands between the Mongols and the heart of Western Europe. Nothing. France, the Holy Roman Empire, the Italian city-states, all within reach. Subutai begins planning the next advance. His scouts are already probing westward. December 11, 1241, Ogedei Khan, ruler of the entire Mongol Empire, dies in Mongolia. A continent away, the generals receive the news. Under Mongol law, all princes must return home. The horde turns east, just like that. Europe exhales, without understanding why it's still alive. The Mongols come back, 1259, 1260. And this time, Europe is not their only problem. The Islamic world is fighting back, and one battle is about to change everything. This is where the myth of Mongol invincibility finally breaks. Not in Europe, but in the desert. The Mamluks are former slaves trained from childhood to be perfect soldiers.
My arm is steady.
They know the Mongol tactics. They have studied every battle. They are ready. Their commander, Kutuz, has one goal: end the myth that the Mongols cannot be beaten in open battle. September 3rd, 1260, the spring of Goliath, Palestine. The armies meet. The Mamluks feign retreat, luring the Mongols into a valley. Then the trap closes. For the first time in history, a Mongol army is routed in a pitched field battle. Completely. Ain Jalut is not just a battle. It is a signal. The empire can bleed.
I have it. To the Khan.
Inside the Mongol Empire, civil war begins. Khanates fight each other for power. The machine that conquered the world begins eating itself from the inside. Back in Europe, the survivors of 1241 do not sit still. They build. Stone castles rise across Hungary and Poland, designed specifically to resist Mongol assault tactics.
It's urgent.
Walls, towers, moats. Europe is learning, stone by stone, how to survive. 1259. The Mongols return to Europe under Nogai Khan. They raid, they burn, they probe. But this time, they do not break through. The castles hold. The terrain is used against them. The Mongols find that Europe is no longer the open wound. It was 18 years ago. Geography is a weapon. Europe's dense forests and wet terrain neutralize Mongol cavalry. The steppe tactics that destroy open armies are useless in narrow alpine passes. The Mongols are not losing battles. They're losing their advantage, and they know it. War is not just swords. It is supply lines. It is disease. It is time. Mongol armies must move fast to survive. Slow them down, and they begin to starve. Europe's scorched-earth tactics, burning supplies ahead of the advance, quietly drain the horde. Pope Innocent IV calls for a crusade against the Mongols. The response is slow, fractured. But the Church does one thing right. It funds diplomacy. Missionaries ride east to gather intelligence. Europe, for the first time, begins to understand its enemy. Knowledge is the beginning of resistance. An empire that spans from Korea to Hungary is an empire impossible to govern. Supply lines stretch thousands of miles. Orders take months to arrive. Local commanders improvise. The same speed that made them unstoppable is now killing them. They've outrun themselves. Batu Khan's Golden Horde stops. It settles on the Russian steppe. It does not push west again. The Western campaign is abandoned, not from weakness, but from a calculation of cost. Europe is not worth the price. The Mongols choose consolidation over conquest. Historians still argue, was it the death of Agode, the terrain, the castles? The answer is all of it. No single wall, no single army. 1,000 small defeats. Europe survived, not because it was stronger, but because it was expensive enough to abandon. 1285. The Mongols try again. Nogai Khan leads a force into Hungary and Poland. They raid, they burn, but they cannot hold territory. The castles are everywhere now. They withdraw again. This is the last serious Mongol attempt on Western Europe. The last. And then, history delivers the cruelest irony of all. The Mongol trade routes, the Silk Road they built and protected, carry something else west. The Black Death, 1347. The Mongol Empire helps kill 1/3 of Europe and 1/3 of Asia. By the mid-13th century, the Mongol Empire is 4 separate warring khanates. It will never reunite. The Golden Horde converts to Islam. The Ilkhanate collapses. The Yuan dynasty falls in China. The greatest land empire in history is disintegrating from within, without a single decisive European victory. One man tries to rebuild it. Timur Tamerlane rises in the 1360s. He is not a Chinggisid by blood, but claims the legacy. He is terrifyingly effective. He never reaches Western Europe. He turns south and east. Europe once again is spared by direction. The Mongol invasions force Europe to change.
No
faster,
war. We signed this
harder,
treaty as allies.
more
Together,
unified.
we will not be caught unaware again.
Military architecture evolves. Cavalry tactics adapt.
Knights, execute the split!
Intelligence networks are
Now,
born.
pivot and regroup.
But the trauma lingers. The word Tartar becomes synonymous with unstoppable, inhuman terror. For generations,
Riders move east
European
to west,
mothers
their
scare
shadows grow
children
with
with
each
stories of riders from the east.
Through these stories, their memories
The
stays among
Mongols never fully return, but they live in European nightmares for a century. So, did Europe defeat the Mongols? The answer is complicated and honest. Europe did not beat them in a climactic battle. It outlasted them. It adapted. It waited. And the Mongols, stretched too thin, divided by succession, stopped by stone and mud, simply moved on. The Mongol Empire is the largest contiguous land empire ever to exist. It connected the world, traded across
Load
it,
is heavy.
destroyed and created in equal, staggering measure. That it stopped at Europe's doorstep is one of history's great contingencies. One different decision and everything changes. Death stopped
Great
them.
Khan is dead!
Ogeday's
Orders are to halt
death
the
in
advance.
1241 pulls the generals home at the moment of maximum danger. Succession law, the Kurultai, forces every Chinggisid prince to attend. No exceptions. One man's liver fails in Mongolia, and Western Europe survives. History balanced on a single heartbeat. The Mongol invasions of Europe leave a mark deeper than the battles. They accelerate castle construction, cavalry reform, and the idea of European collective defense. The threat from the East, real and remembered, shapes European identity for centuries to come. Europe didn't slay the dragon. It waited for the dragon to tire, to fracture, to turn away. That is not cowardice. That is survival. And survival sometimes is the highest form of victory. The Mongols came for Europe. They never finished the job, and history never forgets the ones who almost did.